Did you know that the Prophet Muhammad established the world's first Islamic university 1400 years ago, before Oxford or Cambridge even existed? What if I told you that this revolutionary educational system was hidden in plain sight all along? The answer might surprise you. The concept of education in Islam is deeply rooted in the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the Quran, beginning with the very first revelation. Read in the name of your Lord who created. Surah Al-Alaq 96:1. This divine command underscores the importance of seeking knowledge as a spiritual duty. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, placed immense emphasis on education, stating, "Seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim." Sunan Ibn Majah. This foundational principle shaped the development of Islamic educational institutions, starting with informal gatherings and evolving into structured systems. One of the earliest examples of Islamic education was Dar Al-Arqam in Mecca, where the Prophet secretly taught his closest companions about Islam during its early days. This small, private space became a sanctuary for learning and spiritual growth, setting a precedent for future institutions. After migrating to Medina, education expanded further with the establishment of the Suffah at Masjid Nabawi. The Suffah served as both a dormitory and a learning hub for companions who dedicated themselves to studying the Quran, Hadith, and other Islamic sciences. It was here that scholars like Ubadah ibn al-Samit taught reading and writing to illiterate Muslims. The Prophet's methods were revolutionary for their time. He appointed teachers based on merit and skill, ensuring that students received quality instruction. For example, prisoners from the Battle of Badr were freed in exchange for teaching Muslims literacy, a testament to how much value was placed on education. Furthermore, the Prophet encouraged a holistic approach to learning. Subjects ranged from Quranic exegesis and jurisprudence to history and Arabic grammar, fostering intellectual and spiritual development simultaneously. Mosques also played a pivotal role as centers of education. Beyond being places of worship, they hosted halakas, study circles, where companions could engage in discussions about Islamic teachings. The Prophet himself led many of these sessions, emphasizing dialogue and critical thinking as key elements of learning. This rich legacy highlights how Islamic education was not merely about acquiring knowledge, but about cultivating character, spirituality, and societal progress. Today, revisiting these principles can inspire individuals to seek transformative learning experiences rooted in faith and wisdom. Accessing profound knowledge and understanding the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, has become increasingly challenging in the modern era. Despite Islam's emphasis on seeking knowledge as a spiritual obligation, as highlighted in the Hadith, seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim. Sunan Ibn Majah. Contemporary Muslims face numerous obstacles that hinder their pursuit of authentic Islamic education. One significant challenge is the overwhelming influx of information in the digital age. While technology has made Islamic resources more accessible, it has also created a flood of unverified content. Many Muslims struggle to discern credible sources from misleading ones, leading to confusion and misinformation about core Islamic principles. This aligns with the Prophet's warning. It is enough falsehood for a man to speak of everything he hears. Sahih Muslim. The lack of critical evaluation skills exacerbates this problem, leaving seekers vulnerable to fragmented or distorted interpretations of Islam. Another pressing issue is the dominance of Western educational paradigms, which often prioritize secular knowledge over spiritual wisdom. This creates a disconnect between modern learning systems and traditional Islamic teachings. As highlighted by scholars, Western education tends to promote individualism and materialism, contrasting sharply with Islam's holistic approach to knowledge that integrates spirituality, ethics, and intellectual growth. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, emphasized this balance when he said, "The superiority of the learned over the devout worshipper is like my superiority over the most inferior among you." Sunan Ibn Majah, underscoring the importance of comprehensive understanding. Additionally, many Islamic institutions face structural and pedagogical challenges. Outdated curricula fail to address contemporary issues or engage youth effectively, while educators often lack adequate training to bridge traditional teachings with modern realities. This results in a gap between theoretical knowledge and practical application in daily life. Moreover, globalization and cultural influences have led to identity struggles among Muslims, further complicating their ability to connect deeply with their faith. These challenges highlight a critical need for innovative solutions that preserve the integrity of Islamic education while adapting it to meet modern needs. Revisiting the Prophet's model of holistic learning hubs can offer a transformative approach to overcoming these barriers and empowering Muslims worldwide on their spiritual journey. The Prophet Muhammad's Learning Hub in Medina offers a compelling model for bridging the gap between traditional Islamic education and modern needs. This ancient institution was not just a place of worship, but a vibrant center for intellectual and spiritual growth. The mosque served as the primary venue for learning, where the Prophet himself taught the Quran, Hadith, and other Islamic sciences. This holistic approach recognized that spiritual development was intertwined with intellectual pursuits. One of the key features of this learning hub was its inclusive and adaptive nature. The Prophet encouraged learning in various settings, from formal gatherings in the mosque to informal discussions in marketplaces. This flexibility allowed knowledge to reach a broader audience, including those who might not have had access to traditional educational settings. As the Prophet said, "The example of the person who recites the Quran and acts upon it is like a citron which is good in taste and good in smell." Sahih Bukhari, emphasizing the practical application of knowledge. The community aspect of the learning hub was equally important. Scholars and students formed close bonds, fostering a supportive environment where questions were encouraged and debates were welcomed. This collaborative approach to learning helped ensure that knowledge was not only acquired, but also deeply understood and applied. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, himself exemplified this by engaging in discussions with his companions, demonstrating the value of dialogue and critical thinking in the pursuit of knowledge. Furthermore, the Learning Hub in Medina was not limited to religious studies alone. It encompassed a wide range of subjects, including history, Arabic language, and literature. This comprehensive approach to education was reflected in the Prophet's words. "Wisdom is the lost property of the believer. Wherever he finds it, he is most entitled to it." Sunan Tirmidhi. This emphasis on seeking wisdom from all sources underscores the importance of integrating diverse knowledge streams into Islamic education. By reviving this model, modern Islamic educational institutions can create environments that are both spiritually enriching and intellectually stimulating. By combining traditional teachings with contemporary methods and subjects, these institutions can help Muslims navigate the complexities of modern life while remaining true to their faith. This approach not only honors the Prophet's legacy, but also empowers future generations to become leaders in their communities and beyond. The climax of the Prophet Muhammad's PBUH educational vision lies in the transformative impact of his learning hub in Medina, which not only shaped individuals, but also laid the foundation for an enduring civilization. The Prophet's approach to education was revolutionary, blending spiritual enlightenment with practical knowledge. His efforts culminated in the establishment of institutions like the Suffah at Masjid Nabawi, where companions dedicated themselves to studying the Quran, Hadith, and various sciences. This hub became a beacon of knowledge that changed lives and inspired generations. One of the most remarkable breakthroughs was the Prophet's emphasis on literacy and education as tools for empowerment. Following the Battle of Badr, prisoners of war were released on the condition that they teach reading and writing to Muslims in Medina. This initiative educated hundreds of individuals, creating a ripple effect that spread literacy across the community. The Prophet's foresight in prioritizing education is evident in his words. "The seeking of knowledge is obligatory for every Muslim." Sunan Ibn Majah. This act not only elevated individuals, but also strengthened the collective intellectual foundation of society. The Prophet's educational model extended beyond religious studies to include social, political, and ethical education. The Medina Charter, a groundbreaking document drafted under his leadership, exemplifies this integration. It established principles of governance, justice, and coexistence among diverse communities, reflecting Islam's holistic approach to education. As narrated by scholars, this charter was a testament to how Islamic education transcended personal growth to foster societal harmony and progress. Moreover, The mosque served as a dynamic center for learning where halakas, study circles, were held regularly. Companions gathered to discuss Quranic verses, hadiths, and practical applications of Islamic principles. The Prophet encouraged critical thinking and dialogue, ensuring that knowledge was not just memorized, but deeply understood and implemented. He said, "He who goes forth in search of knowledge is in the way of Allah till he returns." Sunan Tirmidhi, highlighting the spiritual significance of learning. This transformative model empowered individuals like Abu Huraira, radiyallahu anhu, who became one of the most prolific narrators of hadiths after dedicating himself to learning at the Suffah. By fostering such profound connections between knowledge and spirituality, the Prophet's learning hub became a catalyst for personal transformation and societal advancement. It remains a timeless example of how education can elevate humanity toward its highest potential. The conclusion of the Prophet Muhammad's, peace be upon him, educational legacy is a powerful reminder of how his teachings continue to inspire and transform lives across generations. The learning hub he established, whether through the Suffah at Masjid Nabawi or informal gatherings, was not merely an institution, but a dynamic system that integrated spiritual growth with intellectual development. This model laid the foundation for Islamic civilization, fostering advancements in science, philosophy, and ethics that shaped the world. The Prophet's emphasis on education was rooted in the Quranic command, "Read in the name of your Lord who created," Surah Al-Alaq 96:1, which highlights the divine importance of seeking knowledge. His words, "Seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim," Sunan ibn Majah, further emphasized that education is not a privilege, but a duty for all believers. This inclusive approach ensured that knowledge was accessible to everyone, regardless of social status, gender, or background. What makes his educational model timeless is its holistic nature. The Prophet taught not only religious sciences, but also practical skills and moral values that empowered individuals and strengthened communities. For instance, he encouraged literacy among his companions and even freed prisoners of war in exchange for teaching Muslims how to read and write. This act demonstrates his belief in education as a tool for liberation and empowerment. The transformative impact of his teachings is evident in the lives of his companions. Abu Huraira, radiyallahu anhu, who initially struggled with poverty, became one of the most prolific narrators of hadith after dedicating himself to learning at the Suffah. Similarly, Bilal ibn Rabah, radiyallahu anhu, once a slave, rose to prominence as a close companion of the Prophet due to his unwavering faith and commitment to knowledge. Today, the Prophet's educational legacy serves as a blueprint for addressing contemporary challenges in Islamic education. By revisiting his model, modern institutions can create inclusive environments that nurture both intellectual curiosity and spiritual growth. As the Prophet said, "He who goes forth in search of knowledge is in the way of Allah till he returns," Sunan Tirmidhi. This profound statement encapsulates the eternal value of seeking knowledge as a means to elevate oneself and contribute to society. In essence, the Prophet's learning hub remains a timeless guide for personal transformation and societal progress, urging us to embrace education as a sacred journey toward enlightenment and unity.